the death of John Thompson later, to the NBA now. And Jamal Murray had himself a night.
He sure did. Wow.
Donovan Mitchell's Jazz taking on Jamal Murray's Denver Nuggets. And Murray, 25-5 in the first half. He scored 58 points in the last 4 quarters. Scored or assisted on 80 of the last 124 points for the Nuggets. They were up 61-56 at the half. Midway through the third, Jazz down 4 in transition. Watch Jordan Clarkson finding Mitchell, who had himself a game for 3. Jazz down 1. Under 5 to go. Mitchell. Shot clock winding down. Pump fakes. Knocks down to 3. Jazz down 3. All right, Nuggets up 82-79. Murray. Shot clock running down. Goes to the corner. Tough step back 3 of his own. Murray and Mitchell through 3 quarters. 29-5-6 for Murray, 27-2-2 for Mitchell. Nuggets up 88-79 after 3. Early on in the fourth, Jazz down 91-82. Mitchell driving, tough bucket and the foul, making contact and the finish. Made the free throw. Jazz down 91-85. Mitchell finished with 44.6 boards, 5 assists. Later, off a Jazz turnover. In transition, Murray, stop, pop, 3, got it. The lead is 14 for Denver. Under 2 minutes to go. Murray again off the pick and roll, step back, can't stop him. The lead is 12. Less than a minute to go. Murray still feeling it. What? Another 3. Game iced. My man was on another level again, willing his team to a Game 7. We're not ready to go home. 119-107 the final score. Jamal Murray excited. Mitchell frustrated with the loss. Murray 50 points, 5 boards, and 6 assists. With yet another 50-point performance, Jamal Murray became just the 4th player in NBA postseason history to record multiple 50-point games in a series. He joins Allen Iverson, Michael Jordan, and Donovan Mitchell, who's also done it in this same series. Murray's 142 points in a 3-game span are the most by any player in a postseason since MJ back in 1988. Chiney Ogwumike joining us now on SportsCenter to talk about last night. Chiney, what's your reaction to Jamal Murray's historic run of play?
Well, Jay, we've seen some amazing performances in the bubble, but Jamal Murray right now is the bubble's real breakout star. He truly is, because about a year ago, when it came to his $170 million contract extension, people were a little anxious, but now we're at the point where we are witnessing his potential become actualized in real time. His game right now is going crazy. Off the dribble, he probes until he gets where he wants at the rim or even behind the arc. And speaking of behind the arc, it's not just knocking down threes, going 9 for 12 from 3. It's the level of difficulty of the threes that he's knocking down that is remarkable. Between the leg step backs, stopping on a dime, in transition, pulling up from 3. Jamal Murray is becoming a star right before our eyes, but the biggest test obviously lies ahead.
Yeah, Game 7. We will see. Murray wore a pair of shoes featuring depictions of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor in the game. After the game, he was visibly emotional, talking about what they meant to him. Listen to this, Chiney.
These shoes mean a lot. With all the shoes mean a lot.
Take a deep breath, Jamal. You were outstanding tonight. We understand that these are tough times. Jamal, what are you thinking about right now?
I just want to win. And in life, you find things that hold value to you and things to fight for. And we found something worth fighting for as an NBA, as a collective unit. And I use these shoes as a symbol to me to keep fighting all around the world. So like I said, they give me a lot of power to keep fighting, and we want to win. I show my emotion, it comes out, so.
You have a picture of George Floyd on your right shoe here. You got Breonna Taylor. Why has this been so personal for you, Jamal?
Because it's not just in America, it happens everywhere. And for us to come together at the NBA, and it doesn't take one meeting. It takes a couple meetings, few meetings. It takes phone calls. It takes persistence. It's not gonna take one night. And we've been trying to fight for 400 years. But these shoes give me life. Even though these people are gone, they give me life. They help me find strength to keep fighting this world. That's what I'm gonna keep doing.
Jamal talked about his emotions after that interview. He was shown on the TNT broadcast kneeling down in the tunnel, overcome with emotion. Chiney, I want to bring you back in. What did Murray's response last night show you about what players in the NBA are feeling right now?
Well, watching Jamal Murray's post-game interview live was heartbreaking because in most instances, after dropping 50 points and forcing a Game-7, you should be on the highest of highs. But we saw was how quickly, after the final buzzer rang and the adrenaline started wearing off, what these athletes are really dealing with internally are exactly what our communities are dealing with right now, the lowest of lows. You watch that shift happen in a matter of seconds. And you see, these players are not just playing to win anymore. They are carrying the added burden of performing at the highest level so that they can use their platform to push a message for real change in the world. And we saw it. Like, is 50 points enough for you to hear my message, enough for you to care about the people I literally have on my shoes, George Floyd and Breonna Taylor? That's the dilemma. And yesterday, Jamal Murray said it best, that we are tired of being tired. Being game tired is fine, but being tired of what we are seeing and experiencing in this world, that is a whole different type of exhaustion that has been impacting generation and generation, and the athletes feel it just as equally.
Indeed, they do. Chiney Ogwumike, we appreciate your insight. Thank you so much for joining us here on SportsCenter.
Coming up as the baseball trade deadline approaches at 4 p.m. Eastern, what stars may find themselves with new homes today, and what the Jaguars head coach says about why the team is moving.
Of that, and he said that was not true. He was the first one that had, among the first to have the opportunity to win it. And when they did, I think it certainly broke a stereotype. But he also pointed out that it was important for Eastern basketball as well, because he felt that Eastern basketball wasn't getting the credit it deserved for being so great. But with all the battles that he had with Jim Boeheim and Louis Carnesecca and Rolly Massimino, without John Thompson, the Big East never would have risen to the levels it did. And without John Thompson, we wouldn't have had one of the iconic teams and brands in college basketball being Georgetown, which you remember, Han, in the 80s, that was as big a brand as anything in sports, let alone college basketball.
Yeah, I mean, in many ways, he was the face of college basketball. He did not look like other faces in college basketball, did not behave like them. But that sustained excellence, the championship, spoke volumes, as did what his players did after their time at Georgetown. Each and every one of them has an important legacy as well, the Hall of Famers that I mentioned earlier. And Jay, as always, we appreciate your time and your thoughts, and our sympathies obviously go out today to the Thompson family and all of those who loved him. Thank you.
And one of his former players you mentioned earlier, Allen Iverson, remembering his former coach on Twitter. Allen Iverson saying, "Thanks for saving my life, coach. I'm going to miss you, but I'm sure that you're looking down on us with a big smile. I would give anything just for one more phone call from you, only to hear you say, 'Hey, MF.' Then we would talk about everything except basketball. Right. May you always rest in paradise where there is no pain or suffering. I will always see your face in my mind, hoping that I made you proud. Your prodigal son. # Hoya for life."
Oh, that's so beautiful. Don't you just think of Big John with
Yes.
Iverson in a headlock,
Yes.
like telling him the way that it is.
Yes, and Allison and Allen, who's not really doesn't want to listen to anyone, will listen to John Thompson. Yes, coach, whatever you say. It's a beautiful
I tell you what,
relationship.
yeah, the legacy and what those guys did after they were at Georgetown, and you think about Mutombo and all the incredible work that he and Alonzo Mourning have done, and Patrick Patrick Ewing there right now carrying on the legacy. I mean, it's truly remarkable. We'll continue to talk about it all day.
Yeah, and everything he did for racial justice 30 years ago that's still going on today.
Here we are today.
Yes,
and he was there over 3 decades ago, really putting his career on the line for what he believed was right.
Indeed, with no hesitation.
Yep.
All right, much more on the death of John Thompson later. To the NBA now, and Jamal